Whether I want to use an app that was created by someone in my organization or an app from an online service, I begin by clicking the Apps button in the navigation pane. I'll see the apps that I already have loaded into Power BI. And if I have a number of them, notice that I can filter them. I can also search if I wish. But I only have a couple. They're easy to see. And I'm going to click Get Apps to be able to view other apps that are available to me. The number of apps that you see may be limited by your organization because your organization gets to curate the apps that they would like you to have access to. Here we have all apps that are available, organizational apps, and an older style of app that is called a template app. You can click on all apps and search. You can also browse here if you wish. There are lots of apps. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. And the app that I want to look for is an app that is about the U.S. Census. So I'm going to enter census, and here is our census data map. It has 2 reviews, 3 stars out of 5. I'm going to click to load information about this application. On the left-hand side, I notice that this is a free app. You can read the developer's information. You'll see, for example, you'll see dashboards, reports, different options that they would like you to know about. Ratings and reviews are on a second tab. And if I decide I want to get this application, I simply click Get It Now. I need to confirm my details. In this case, this is how I am logged in. Note that I'm giving Microsoft permission to share or use some account information with the provider, Addadale Partners. Click Get It Now again. And now Power BI is going to ask me the same question. Power BI says, do you really want to install this? Because I was, for a moment there, in the App Store, and now I'm back in Power BI, and I'm going to give permission to install. There's a banner that says this may take a little while, but this isn't a large app, and it won't take that long. The app is added to my list of apps, also noting when I downloaded this app, what version it was. And there was a banner here for a moment that said, go to the app. I didn't click on it while it was still there. There's edit and delete are my options. And if I want to favorite this app, I would click right here so that it's added to my favorites list. I'm going to click the app title, which is a hyperlink, to load this application. This is how this app presents. At the top, it says you're viewing this app with sample data. If you want to connect your own data source, there's a link that helps you to do that. On the left-hand side is the navigation. This is state data, and then this is simply a tooltip. But it looks like state data is where we would like to spend our time. And we could work with this application if we wish. Now, if you have a few minutes, this is a really good time to browse the apps that are available. You can filter them by apps. Remember how we got there. I'm going to click the Go Back button to return to the apps page and click Get Apps to have access to all of the apps that your organization allows you to see. But if you were looking, for example, for sales applications, in Power BI, you could click, enter sales, and see a lot of different resources for sales applications. If you find some apps here that you might be interested in using in the future, this is a great time to note them because you might forget to come back here. Creating a new data set on the fly is really pretty easy. What we're going to do is click the Create button and then choose the tile with the first option, Paste or Manually Enter Data. Now, I think pasting is a great idea, and manually entering very much data is a bad idea. So we're going to use some data that already exists. I'm going to go to my OneDrive for Business, to my exercise files, choose that I want the folder, and if you go into the Chapter 2 files, you're going to find a Word document called Lead List, and I'm going to open that document. Now, nobody would recommend Word as a data store. However, there's a plethora of tabular business data that's stored in tables in Microsoft Word, and it's the only place that it lives. That happened because there were people who were great Word users who weren't Excel users or weren't Access users, so they simply dumped their tabular data into Word. And that's totally inaccessible from Power BI unless we go through this process. The first thing we're going to do is select the entire table. Don't drag, simply click the four-headed arrow in the upper left-hand corner, and then however you'd like, let's fire up a copy operation. Control-C if you wish, the copy button, right-click, use the menu. And now we're going to swing back to Power BI. When we clicked the option to get data, the Power BI opened up Power Query. Now, you might have seen Power Query previously if you're an Excel user, but if not, you're going to spend a lot of time in Power Query in this course because Power BI uses it. I'm going to click in this very first cell, hold Control and hit V to paste, and here comes my data flying in from Microsoft Word. The first thing I want to do is make sure I've defined it correctly. My Power Query detected delimiters in the data. In other words, the lines or the tabs in our tabular data. It could be that I had a list from someplace else that it detected it incorrectly, but this looks like my data. So I'm going to just close this banner. And then it says, do I want to use first row as headers? Well, my first row says company, first name, last name. Those are my headers. What happens if I don't do that? Then my headers will be column 1, column 2, and so on. So click Use First Row as Headers. So my first row has now been promoted to be my headers. In addition to detecting how my data was delimited and that the first row was special and I might want to do something with it, another thing that Power Query automatically did for us was it assigned data types to the different columns. So if I click the button that says ABC 1 through 3, what it shows me is I can choose a specific type of data for each of these columns. Now, in each of these columns that exist, the detection was that it should be any, or basically text-based data, or any or text, but could be numbers. What I want to look for in an address list is that zip code was not assigned to number, because zip codes in the United States sometimes starts with zeros, and the leading zero from a zip code in New England would be cut off if this wasn't any or text. But this looks good to me. That's fine. If I want to name this, lower left-hand corner, I'm going to double-click and say that this is my lead list. That's it. And then to the right-hand side, lower right-hand corner, I have 3 options. Create a report from this data, create a blank report, or only create a data set. I'm going to click Create Data Set and let Power BI and Power Query churn on that for a second. A question for your consideration as you think about how Power BI gets used in your organization. Do you have tabular data similar to this in Word or in any other application that this approach of copying and pasting it to create a data set would be useful for you in Power BI? If so, take a moment and make a note about that. If you wish, you can use the notebook that's contained in this course for your notes. And check it out. Here's our lead list with all of our information. A new table living here in Power BI. There's one more way we can retrieve data into the Power BI service, and that is to upload a file that was created using Power BI Desktop. The file extension for Power BI Desktop files is .pbix, and people call them PBIX files. So we do this by first selecting the workspace we want to put it in and then uploading our data. I have a number of workspaces. I've been at this a little while, but you probably only have one, and it's called My Workspace, maybe even has your picture on it. But you would begin always by going to the appropriate workspace. Then what we're going to do is choose Upload. You can bring in a PBIX file from OneDrive for Business or from SharePoint. And Power BI will also allow you to browse and go find one someplace else if you stored it elsewhere. But as you saw a couple of movies back, there's a compelling reason to be using OneDrive for Business or SharePoint, a cloud-based solution for your files. So I'm going to go to OneDrive for Business, go to our exercise files, the folder that we created previously. Sorry, mine's called PBI 2022X files. Not sure what you named yours, but go there. And we're going to drop down into Chapter 2 files, and there is a singular PBIX file here, Retail Analysis Sample PBIX.PBIX. And that seems like I stuttered a little, but I included it in the name on purpose. Last year, by the way, I could also upload Excel files, but we can't do that anymore here. If we want to work with Excel, we're going to do that in Power BI Desktop. Click Upload. And this is a little chunky, so it might take a little bit of time. And if you wish, you can always refresh. You don't need to. You can just be patient. But here I have my new file. And if I open up my PBIX file, it has an info page in the front. This is a newer, relatively newer version of this file. An overview page. All of these are report pages. All of these are editable, and you can actually visit the semantic model behind this if you want to, because if you drop into edit mode, here's your semantic model. It has a number of different tables, lots of different information, and we'll be spending a considerable amount of time working with this particular model. But this is how we upload information that is coming to us from a PBIX file. It starts with a report, but that report will also give you access to your underlying data. While I'm here, I'm going to take a second and add this to my favorites because I'm going to be using this throughout the course.